Everyone assumes their bank is safe because the FDIC insures deposits, but that protection has a $250,000 ceiling most people don't understand. Your bank closes Friday with no warning, a seizure order on the door, and by Monday your account is frozen solid. $250,000 in operating capital, gone. And the government's first response? That's not fully our problem. 25 banks failed in the United States between 2020 and 2023, and most depositors had no idea what was actually protected until the moment it mattered. If you think your money is safe because you bank with a federally insured institution, you're half right, and the other half is where people lose everything. Most people assume FDIC insurance is a blanket. But the math inside that protection has rules, categories, and limits that almost nobody reads until they're staring at a frozen account. I'll get to the specific account structure that multiplies your coverage to $2.25 million. But first you need to understand how a bank actually fails, because the sequence matters. When a bank fails, the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, steps in immediately, usually on a Friday after markets close, to minimize panic. But that only works if the FDIC can find a buyer fast enough. Here's what happens when there's no acquiring bank. The FDIC becomes the receiver. They freeze all accounts, begin auditing the bank's assets, and start issuing checks or electronic transfers to insured depositors. The standard timeline is 3 to 5 business days for the first disbursement. That sounds fast, and relative to, say, a bankruptcy proceeding, it genuinely is. But 3 to 5 business days with zero access to your operating capital can destroy a small business. Payroll doesn't wait. Suppliers don't wait. Now here's the line that separates the people who come out whole from the people who don't. $250,000 per depositor, per insured bank, per account ownership category. That phrase, is per account ownership category, is where the system gets both generous and brutal. A sole proprietor with one checking account at one bank, covered up to $250,000. Same person, same bank, adds a savings account, still only $250,000 total, because the ownership category is the same. Personal checking plus business checking at the same bank under the same owner, again, same ownership category, one coverage limit. Most small business owners I've walked through this math are shocked. They thought separating account types meant separating coverage. It doesn't. What actually separates coverage is separating ownership categories, and there are 8 of them recognized by the FDIC. If you're a salaried employee with less than $250,000 in deposits, stick with me. This next section is going to change how you think about your emergency fund, your joint account with your spouse, and your IRA, because the category rules apply to you too. The 8 FDIC ownership categories are single accounts, joint accounts, certain retirement accounts like IRAs, revocable trust accounts, irrevocable trust accounts, employee benefit plan accounts, business and corporation accounts, and government accounts. Each one at each bank gets its own $250,000 limit. That's not a loophole, it's the designed architecture of the system. But here's the part nobody talks about, and I'll show you why in a minute. Most people with more than $250,000 in the bank are structured into the worst possible category. They've stacked everything into a single ownership bucket, which means anything above $250,000 is uninsured, full stop. Consider the case of a regional manufacturer who kept $400,000 in a business checking account. When the bank was seized, $250,000 was insured. The remaining $150,000 went into the receivership queue, meaning it was tied to the bank's liquidated assets. She received roughly 60 cents on the dollar, 18 months later. $150,000 and became $90,000 recovered. $60,000 evaporated because of account structure, not because of bad luck. The math doesn't lie. How you hold your money determines how much you keep. Now let's talk about the Silicon Valley Bank collapse in March 2023, because it's the most instructive modern case. SVB held $209 billion in assets. When it failed, roughly 93% of domestic deposits were above the FDIC limit, uninsured. That's not an anomaly for a tech-focused bank. It's what happens when sophisticated depositors assume size equals safety. The FDIC and Treasury made a systemic risk exception and covered all depositors in that specific case. But that exception is not a promise. It is not written into the standard FDIC guarantee. If your bank fails and the government doesn't invoke a systemic risk exception, anything above the category limits is at risk. The risk multiplies when you account for what I call the invisible gap, the time between bank closure and when you actually receive your insured funds. Now I have to show you the trap one more time before I show you the way out. Most people respond to this risk by simply moving to a big bank, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. And yes, the probability of a too-big-to-fail institution collapsing is lower. But the FDIC coverage math is identical. $250,000 per category, per bank. $100 million at JP Morgan in a single checking account leaves $99.75 million uninsured. Size of institution does not change the coverage rules. There's one detail in here that flips the whole argument, and we're about to get there. The turning point is this: the $250,000 limit is not the ceiling, it's the floor per category. When you understand the categories, a single depositor at a single bank can be covered for over $2.25 million. Here's how the math works. You and your spouse open a joint account that gets its own $250,000 limit per co-owner. You open an IRA, separate retirement account category, another $250,000. You establish a revocable trust with 5 named beneficiaries. That category covers $250,000 per beneficiary, so $1,250,000 in coverage from a single trust account at one bank. Add your individual account, your spouse's individual account, a business account under a separate legal entity, and an employee benefit plan account, you're stacking coverage limits that compound across categories. The total across recognized categories at a single FDIC-insured bank can exceed $2.25 million for a properly structured depositor. That is not a trick. That is the system working exactly as designed. Wait until you see what the full strategic breakdown looks like for a $250,000 business account. Here's what the engineered solution actually looks like. Take that $250,000 in operating capital. Split it, $100,000 in a business checking account under the business entity, covered in the corporation ownership category. $75,000 in a payroll trust account with employees named as beneficiaries, covered in the employee benefit plan category. $50,000 in a personal joint account with a spouse, covered in the joint ownership category. $25,000 in a second FDIC-insured bank entirely, covered as a separate bank limit. Every dollar covered. Zero overlap. Zero uninsured exposure. And when the original bank fails, all 4 pools are insured independently. The average reimbursement timeline the FDIC has hit over the last decade is 4 business days for standard insured accounts. Not weeks. Not months. 4 days. The people who come out whole from bank failures are not lucky. They are engineered. They ran the math before the failure, not after. Let me give you the step-by-step math on how that coverage stacks up. Start with the business checking account under a corporation, $250,000 limit, $100,000 deposited, fully covered. Add the payroll trust, $250,000 limit, $75,000 deposited, fully covered. Add the joint personal account, $250,000 per co-owner limit, $50,000 deposited, fully covered. Add the second bank, entirely separate $250,000 limit, $25,000 deposited, fully covered. Total deposited, $250,000. Total insured, $250,000. Coverage gap, 0. That's what the math looks like when you engineer it. But there is one critical requirement: the accounts must be established before the bank fails, not after. You cannot retroactively restructure a frozen account. This is exactly what our protagonist did. After running through this math 18 months before her original bank's closure, she redistributed her $250,000 across 3 account types and 2 banks. When the bank failed, the FDIC receiver processed her 4 accounts independently. Within 1 week, 7 calendar days, every dollar was accessible. No business interruption. No emergency loan. No bankruptcy. No 60 cents on the dollar recovery. The full $250,000, intact, because she understood the architecture of the system she was already inside. Now go build it. Here's your Monday morning action plan. First, pull up every account you own: checking, savings, money market, IRA, joint accounts, trust accounts. List the bank, the account type, and the current balance. Second, calculate your total exposure at each bank by ownership category. If any single category at any single bank exceeds $250,000, that overage is uninsured today. Third, if you have more than $250,000 in liquid assets, open a second FDIC-insured account at a different institution and move the overflow. Fourth, check your bank's stability rating for free at FDIC Bank Find. It's a public government tool that shows your bank's health metrics, including capitalization ratio and recent regulatory actions. Fifth, if you have a business with employees, talk to your accountant about an employee benefit plan account. That category alone can add $250,000 in coverage you're currently leaving on the table. The system is not designed to protect people who don't understand it. Compound is the only free lunch in finance, and the FDIC category structure is the closest thing to free insurance you will ever find, but only if you use it.